Okay, another layer in the seemingly endless saga of the Confederate monument is the Long Range Planning Committee, which voted 4-3 to move the monument. Tell me about the committee, and you were on that committee, right?
Absolutely, Robert. I'm actually the chairman of that committee, and I heard you guys talking earlier. Somebody voiced their opinion about the different committees, and maybe they were a smoke screen, so I figured I should probably clear that up. There's a lot of different committees that the Caddo Commission has: juvenile justice, animal services, long-range planning, a couple to name a few, economic development. And what it is instead of the whole 12 body during the work sessions or during the legislative sessions doing the work of the parish, they separate it into different topics. And of the commissioners, a set group, maybe 5 at the most, get together and they tackle those hard topics. And then what they do is they identify resolutions, and then they bring those resolutions from each committee to the full body so the full body can vote on it. It makes it a little bit easier for the workflow in that manner. Long-range planning is where the full body sent the monument, and the reason they did it was it wasn't just as far as feelings. They wanted to look at a lot of things. They wanted to look at the cost of moving it, the citizen input, many other aspects, not just what it's going to take to move it or not move it to make a simple decision. And the reason the long-range planning created the citizen subcommittee, and I was actually the one that did that, is I wanted to get a good feel of the climate of our parish, not just the decision of 12 people that represent their people. I really wanted the people to be able to come out and start the open dialogue of the reason why they felt that the statue either needed to stay or needed to move. And I think it was very productive with all the people that came out. We had 4 town hall meetings. We had people studying the history, the cost, a lot of the facets that we wanted to gather, and it just wasn't a quick decision. It was an 11-month decision with many town hall meetings and many people coming out to speak their side, either for or against.
How many meetings did you and the Long Range Planning Committee have over the last, say, 10 or 11 months? And in those meetings, how heated were they, and were any minds changed?
You know what? I don't think any minds were changed, and there was no heated debate whatsoever between the 12 commissioners, because I think for the majority, the guys that sit on that horseshoe and the one lady, they pretty much do the dealings of their constituents. So they're not up there arguing their point, so to speak. They're more so saying, hey, listen, this is what my district would like, and then we're debating that.
So you guys voted 4-3. You were one of the nay votes to move and or remove the statue you had mentioned a couple of seconds ago. One of the things you guys talked about was cost of removing. If you don't know where it's going to go, how do you know how much it's going to cost, and where's it going to go?
That's a great point. We actually brought that up yesterday after Lyndon B. Johnson brought up his motion. Obviously, in 2 weeks when we go to vote, he's going to set more specifics. But that is yet to be determined. I have a feeling LBJ just wanted to get it out there as far as get that vote to move it, and then from there, if that even passes, then that decision will come later.
What offers and from whom are on the table? I know there was something not too long ago about the possibility of taking the monument to the, if you vote to remove, to the Norton Art Gallery. Other ideas have been the Mansfield, the battleground up that way. What have you heard? What do you know?
That's it. Actually, a local attorney and a friend of the Nortons called me personally, and he voiced his opinion that they had told him, hey, listen, guys, we would like to take the statue. So we would have to look at the cost, if that was the case, if that got voted, to move it from where it sits now, obviously over to there, rent the crane and all that. But depending on the end result is obviously going to depend on the cost. But just looking at moving it from where it's at, period, just picking it up off the ground, $350,000 is the number that's thrown around there. I personally worry about litigation and the court costs of that getting driven up by the UDC.
Now that brings us to the next point. What kind of, if in fact the commission votes in a couple of weeks to remove the monument, what kind of blowback, i.e. what kind of legal action, and by whom do you anticipate to block your move?
Definitely the UDC, and I anticipate However, this is one thing that I would like to know, Robert, and I've asked this myself. The only thing that we have that says who owns that land is the old parish attorney's opinion. So it's not actually a judge's ruling on who legally owns that land. So that's what would happen. It would basically go to court, and the courts would have to decide, and a judge would have to come down a ruling on who owns that land.
Excuse me just a second, Mark. Does this go back to when they removed the flag a few years ago? Is this that ruling, or is this something else?
No, this is something else. This would actually have to be a judge ruling on who owns that land legally that sits underneath the statue.
So how long could that drag out? I would anticipate it would take, could conceivably be a long time, huh?
I would throw out at 2 years, Robert.
If the council, the commission votes in a couple of weeks to remove, well, let's touch on that for a second, because the long-range planning committee, there were 7 members voted 4-3 to remove. 12 Caddo Commission members, that's 5 more guys. Is this, to quote the great Stephanie Lynch, is this a done deal, or are those 5 votes that you sort of feel could still go either way?
You know what, Robert, looking across the horseshoe, I almost see it split 6-6. 6 yeses to move it and 6 no's to move it when it comes to the full body in 2 weeks on the work session.
Then what happens?
It dies. So really nothing. Now,
Mario, pardon me. You and I both know, to use your phrase, it ain't going to die. What do you think's going to happen? I
think this is going to be something that's going to be going on for a while. Obviously, one side wants it, so it's just going to be a constant battle. Probably long after I'm gone, Robert. If something doesn't happen while I'm there, I have a feeling this will not stop.